So welcome everyone to yoga. It's raining and cold here, as I think it is in a lot of Northern Europe. So what I wanted to do today is spend a little bit of time actually on the upper girdle, the upper thoracic cage, the arms, the neck and head. Last time we picked up that theme of moving the spine through flexion and extension into rotation, which is very profound work, but it's actually a big part of the beginning work of learning the vocabulary and grammar of yoga. But I think any good dive into discovering that movement work is beautiful, really does pick up this, starting to explore how that happens for you, and then how the rotations happen for you and what you need and where you get stuck and so on. And of course, for those movements which are flexion, extension, side bend, and rotation, we talked about how the horizontal plane is a big part of how we talk to each other. That we're not just giving each other presents or saying, I didn't do it, but we're saying, oh, I love you, or, oh, it's so nice to see you, and so on. So, and there is this, we give to each other and we move towards each other in these rotating waltzes and foxtrots and things. But of course, the radial part of the body, so the hand and its continuation as hand through what we call limb, into the expressivity and the mobility and adaptability of the upper body is hugely part of how we feel free, because this is a big part of how we lift, touching. Do I want to buy that avocado or that one? Is that one more ripe? And caressing and stopping and all of that. But it's the same with the lower limb, completely different, but the same. The foot is palpatory and awake, and it's got to feed the rest of the foot, which we call leg, and that's got to come into the spine and make the spine come alive. It's not our head that is telling us what our posture is. It's our fluid relationship with the world that feeds the system which keeps tone in the body and keeps Giovanni upright. So if I'm nervous or I feel so happy to see you, my tone changes and my spine moves and is alive. And a big part of how I register the world is through the limbs, and also through the limbs of the sensoriality. So we're going to dig into this, moving the whole body, but we'll spend a little bit of a moment like that. So just take a moment as you stand and look at the camera and move around your room to touch with one hand and the other side. So you can rub fast, or you can be more slow, and then you could do it with your eyes closed, or also you could look. You could look and you could feel how touching does something, and then how we move in relation to needing to touch that hand. And then you can change roles. You can change roles. You don't need to do the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, so the upper girdle is not a hand that's popped onto the end of a stick or a pipe. It's really a hand that has long living feelers, which we call fingers, that come from here and go out. So embryologically, that's how it is. I didn't make arms and then have hands. I had fingers from this core place out, and the same for legs. So I think that's so helpful because in yoga, we're so often, you know, we get stuck in the frames and then we make this into a puzzle of objects, but actually it's much better to think of it as a sensorial pathway that will organize itself if you're happy about the touching or the pushing or the pulling or whatever it is that you're doing. In this case, we'll be resting on them or reaching out with them. Yeah. Okay, so let's just lie on your back. Lie on your back. Do what you need to settle. You know, I try not to worry too much about being all lined up and symmetrical. What I find helpful is I rest my back on the floor, and then I try to notice what are the areas that are suddenly under tension or not really resting on the floor. With me, a lot of it has to do with the curvature of my upper chest and the way the sacrum comes into my lumbars. The other places are, you know, I don't mind about the curve, you know, it's perfectly fine and normal to have a curve down there. And I know that my head usually releases. My neck usually releases by itself, so I don't need to worry about over lengthening it. But I have been at the computer a bit, so I'm just going to put a book. Okay. So you're lying on your back. You are not rushing around and perfecting whatever's happened on the floor, but you're just quiet, and so you can learn. You learn over time what it's like, where it's comfortable, where it feels holding, where things feel sharp. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to actually start in the lower body, and I'm just, as I root and land and let my feet find the ground, I'm just going to imagine that I'm flowing this way in my spine or in my torso, that my attention flows out between the structures of my legs, so that it's like a tail that goes that way. Yeah, that imaginary process very quickly will teach you what you're doing with your pelvic floor, if you're squeezing or collapsed, or, you know, because what happens very often is the sacrum and its coccyx gets completely overwhelmed by the jungle of your butt. The jungle of your butt. Usually more on one side. One leg is just, so it's all kind of damned. And we want to feel that the spine is long. It projects way out, way out. That changes lots of things in the tonus of the supporting back and all the little structures along the spine. So just like that, and I move my feet, and I'm rooting. Wonderful. So my tail, I'm breathing. Remember, we're always just, you know, at home you're going to decide, oh, what do I want to practice today, which is great, I think. But then as you settle and wonder what you're going to do and decide, I encourage you always to come back to the breath and the weight and the nearness. And by breath, I don't mean doing good breath, just noticing, just letting your attention be with what it's like and how it relates to being weighted, to being heavy. Yeah. And the breathing and the sense of weight, over time, we get used to just being near. It takes us away from the visual stuff. And it brings us into proprioception, which is perceiving myself, and it highlights exteroception and exproprioception, which is awareness of the space around me, awareness of the space around me. And then the tail, The tail is playing with that relationship between what's in me and what's around me, letting it grow. And then, of course, these are metaphors and it's poetic, but it's also very, very real. Just that, don't be bothered by it. Just let it become, this is my language and me moving, but you're going to learn to play with the vocabulary and the grammar in the language you want to speak. So my tail is very long. And now my tail, which is about having the river of the spine be awake to an expressive tail, it's starting to go up. So my tail is starting to go up, and it brings my spine up, not like a plank, but like something that's hanging, that's got many, many bits that are all hanging. It's flying and hanging, flying and hanging. That's the paradox of human movement and gravity through verticality, is that we're going up, but we're also landing. We're landing and we're also going up. So it's going up, it's going up, it's going up. My feet are waking up. I'm not worrying about the shape. I'm just noticing, oh, I need my feet. And yeah, something here is waking up. The knees get too wide from each other. Stay on your feet, going up. You could talk to yourself like me. You could give yourself a yoga class, and you'll hear if the breath is free and resonant, you're doing great. Ooh, I must be doing great. See, my voice is resonating. I'm not holding. So off you go. And it's quite a potent movement, but you're not going to be struggling so much on all the external stuff. It's something very deep that starts to wake up and let you lift. And then come down in reverse. So the upper back lands and eventually the tail lands. And just breathe. And the tail is going off, awake through the feet, going through the knees, tail taking you up, spine hanging. I don't know if you can hear the church bell. It's about 10 meters from where I'm lying. Way up, way up. Maybe you go higher. Maybe you go higher, higher. Yeah. This is Setu Bandhasana in the yoga poses, and it's not a yoga of keeping. You don't keep yourself in it. You keep going, and then you realize, oh, I'm already starting to come down, and you come down. Yeah. So my neck is much more easy. It's nice. And I'm just going to let my legs fall to one side and to the other side. So rotations are very, very nice integrators of flexion extension movements, because a rotation is bringing flexion and extension into dialogue through side bend. Okay, so now we're going to go up again. Tail is going up, going to go up again. And this time we're just going to let the arms come up. So for me, this is an amazing work because I go right into the middle of my back where there's groups of ribs and tissue that are not very, very free. There's here, and then as I go up, there's here. And when I move my arms, I lift and drop them, I can feel that I'm disturbing a very old postural, embryological postural thing. So I just keep going up with the tail, and I move my arms up and over and back up and across. Wow, that's very good. And then I let myself back down, back down. Try not to put the tail down first, but roll. And coming back to the breath and the weight. And the heaviness of the head. So just that little bit of waking up shines a light on the qualities of freedom and lack of freedom around here. So on me, on my flexor side here, through these flexor compartments and into the chest, I can really feel as the spine released and the rib cage released, it's as if I'm like that, you know, I'm exaggerating a lot, but it's as if I'm like that, short in my flexor world, you know. And now I've freed the thoracic cage just a bit through moving, and I realize, wow, this is starting to want to open up. You may be the complete opposite. You may be someone who squeezes through the back, through the pathway of the triceps. So you're squeezing that way, and then you start to move the rib cage, and you can feel that it wants to let go. So yoga or any movement practice is about that. It's learning through the unexpected, through the accidental. Tail going up. I think I'm traveling quite a lot. Probably going to end up in the next village. I have to move my feet. Tail goes up, and up I go, and I'm going to let my arms go up. Let my arms go up. And I see my hands in the world, and I see my fingers, and I let my fingers travel all the way through the pathway that is theirs, that was theirs from the beginning. So I have these long fingers wrapped in this sheath. Long, long fingers, long, from deep inside my heart and lungs, let's say, or coming out of my first three vertebral spaces, or however you want to see it, involved with my tongue and the visceral part of my throat. It's all part of something that's really intelligent. It could be a strength thing that I'm doing, or in this moment, it could be much more a flowing, reaching, opening. Yeah. And then I'm going to let my arms go up over my head. Don't force it because it's early in the class. And if you need to be aside, or if you realize you need cushions, just stop what you're doing and go get 2 cushions for your arms. I'm going to let them go over my head. And then I'm going to slowly, not tensely, but just giving myself time, I'm going to return to the ground. And I'm just going to notice what's possible here. So I can feel my rib cage is still trying to let go, and my arms are gently being pulled off the ground a bit. But I'm just going to wait for the weight of the arm to open the arm. Allow the arm to separate from the ribs. Yeah. Just wait. I can see I'm doing things. I'm just going to wait and just not waste a bit of time and really wait. So your armpit is like a mouth that is facing the sky, and it's going to open. Just let it open. Let it open. The more you play and move, the more you get to marvel at the relationship of differences from side to side. So many people get so worried that one eye seems smaller, or they're not happy with the side bend, because the doctor said it was a scoliosis. Unless we're in a lot of pain, we need to marvel at the asymmetry, which is a beautifully balanced unity in the body. That one foot is slightly different from the other. What this does, this difference, which is held in balance and unity, it actually irrigates the nervous system. It wakes up the life of the body because you step on one foot and it's completely different from the other foot. And it's not just because it's left or right or dominant or not, all that kind of stuff. It's actually different. The shape, the signature, the tissue, there's differences. There are something that go. I'm going to go back up. I'm going to go back up. I normally move my head, and if you have something under your head when you're doing Setubandha, you should take it away, because otherwise you're forcing your neck. So you can take it away so that you're not disturbing the transition from vertebrae, thoracic vertebrae 1 and 2, to cervical or neck vertebrae 6 and 7, because there's a lot of mobility, and very often people charge into shoulder balances and things, and they really irritate this section. So here I have nothing pushing my head up off the floor. Okay, and then I'm just going to move my arms around on the floor. Look what I'm doing. Going to lower and then open and then lower and come towards, widen. You don't need to go all the way down. Oops, my glasses. Because that's going to disturb because you have to rotate. But stay sort of shoulder level or higher. And move the arms. Do some back breaststroke. This is a whole new yogic possibility. And then release yourself down, and you can release your arms back down, and you're on the floor. And you're on the floor, and you just are noticing what's changing with the breath, the bones. Just coming into rotations again. Let's make some sound. So just and wobble, and just notice. Push with the feet, let the spine curve, tail. Do it your way, I'm just playing. Okay. So let's all, it may depend on how you're relating to the camera, but let's, I'm going to say, let's bring our legs to the right. And if you want to do the opposite, it's fine. So the legs go to the right, both legs. You don't need to tidy it up like that. Just leave it asymmetrical like that. It's very good for the transition of leg, pelvis, sacrum, lumbars. Then the arm is out. And just touch across here. Arm, girdle, chest, breastbone, clavicle. Just touch across, so there's lots of awareness. Okay, now I'm going to let the arm fly up, and the arm is going to take me onto the side of my body, and my head is going to hang towards the floor and face will turn towards the floor a bit. If it's too much, put something under your head. But this side bend and rotation of the neck and head is a very natural thing, so you shouldn't feel sharpnesses. But if it's too much, again, just put something under. And my flying arm begins to move around.
So you have various options. One would be that it's just the arm moving around. The other one is that the arm is moving the shoulder girdle. So the arm is moving the scapula and the clavicle more. I mean, they're always moving, but you can play with the feeling. It's just my arm. Now it's my arm and my shoulder girdle. You don't worry if you know what that means. Just think, okay, it's just my arm. And now my arm is kind of moving my shoulder. And then the arm and the shoulder move the ribs. So then you make it go further through the body. So you don't need to be tight about it. Like, is it really just... So now my arm is moving a lot of things. And now it's much more just the arm and the shoulder. And now I really let the arm separate off, and it really feels like it's, just the arm. And then I come back, and the legs go the other way. Or if you want to be in the middle just to see what's going on, that's also very nice. So you can see you can accelerate and decelerate. You can be very considered or very messy. You can zoom in and zoom out. We do this all the time. If you go for a walk in a garden you've never been in, you'll see that you zoom there and then you back off and then you stop and then your senses rush towards something. You take in the whole picture or just a detail. So, and then the other arm is moving, and it's the arm, this pathway of living fingers, palpatory fingers, that moves the rib cage. And the moving of the rib cage brings the head to kind of bend to the side and rotate slightly to the floor. Don't force anything. So it's not so easy for me on this side. So I'm just going to wait a minute and give a little bit of support. Yeah, I'm going to give a little bit of support. Flying arm there, that's better. Head is bending and rotating. This is the natural movement of the cervical bones, the bones of the neck. They can side bend and rotate in the same direction. It's the opposite habit for the ribs. So your neck should be able to, yeah, great. And my arm is flying. And then also I just begin to play. So I begin to move the arm and the arm. So something is catching in the back there. Yeah. The arm, I jumped into my rib cage. Okay, so the arm is moving the whole thing. I don't need this anymore. And the arm is moving the rib cage. Yeah, and the rib cage is allowing the shoulder to bridge between arm and ribs. So it's just the arm. Just the arm. And now the arm, yeah, so there's something not so happy across here, across the girdle. Okay. And I come back. Oh, very nice. And just coming back to yourself, do what you need to be comfortable. So on me, because there is this, significant curvature of my spine, which I've inherited, but which I've worked on. So the spine opens, but there is always something deep in my chest, which I feel could open more with the breath and so on. And I feel how this curvature pulls my ribs up a bit here, you can see. So, you know, that's lovely. It's lovely to discover that kind of stuff. I don't need to be horrified. It's lovely, it's me. So you may have a very flat back or a very round rib cage, or so you're getting to know, or an injury, you know, sometimes our rib cages are really rotated, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I've never heard a rose in a garden go, oh my gosh, I'm rotating. No, roses love rotating. They rotate. That's how they climb up things. So do clematises. So do swallows in the sky. So, yeah, getting to know. I used to be, when I started teaching yoga, I was so embarrassed about this. And it was a really learning experience, because actually, I thought, well, what's the point of doing yoga if you're not getting to know your body and like it, and letting this change. Yeah. Okay, so we'll come back to digging around in line, but let's just bring, how is everyone doing? Are you all okay? Good. So we're just gonna go flying up into dog pose. So big hands, don't need to get all super symmetrical. Turn your toes under and just let your bum go flying up. Let your bum go flying up. Get up on your toes. I don't advise rushing to putting heels on the floor because that always bothers the pelvis, sacrum, and back. So it's better to go up and let this not be pulled down, but let it be free. Yeah, so we go up, and then you can get your heels to the floor later. So we go up, very awake through the arms, very alive through the head, and then come down. Okay, going to do two contrasting things. One is more load-bearing, the other one is more reachy, and that will give us a different access to this, and then we'll get into a bit more fiddly stuff. So again, the two are this dog posy thing, where you go flying up. You go flying up, and then if you want to, this is enough, but if you want to just take one leg off, you know, and now don't straighten the leg and lift it. That's not helpful. Just think of your leg as a proboscis, as an elephant's trunk. It goes up and it looks around and it opens you back bendy that way, opens you that way, and you come down, and then your other leg goes up. It's going up, it's taking your spine. I'm not lifting my leg. My leg is taking my spine, and I'm doing this back bendy thing. We do it often in class, because I think it's one of the best ways to fix your back, and it looks outrageous. It's a great party move, but it's not that complicated. Of course, if this is all new, you know, just lift your leg up a bit and don't worry. And then come down. You'll be here kneeling or here. And then we're going to just go up, up. So down through the knees and up with the arms and the chest. And you're just going to let the arms come towards each other and lift up and back. But don't lean into your lower back. Lift up and open through the rib cage, and then come down. And then we're going to go up into dog again. Fly. You can fly with one of your legs. Yeah, you can fly with the other leg. You're not shaking yourself. You're sort of flying and bouncing around in your inner webbing. And then we come down. And we just fly up. You know, just do really bad but delicious yoga. Just be bad. I think that's what we're meant to be. Bad and delicious. Arms go flying up. In your arms, take your rib cage. You see what I'm doing with my hand? It's not so much about leaning into the lumbers, because once we lean down, the lumbers can't do very much anymore because they're built to get really stable. But the minute we lift up, it's very surprising how the whole spine moves, and we have this incredible wave of the breath, and then just lean back and touch your heels. I'm just joking, and come back. And then go flying up one last time. Fly up, fly up. You can be super vibrant again or more quiet, whatever. Really bend into the toes. I feel completely different in my middle back now, where things hugely awaken the toes and awaken the hands. Awaken the hands. Okay, and then I'm not going to push my heel to the floor. I'm just going to reach with my heel. Reach and come back. And reach. Don't push. Pushing is different. Pushing creates a traction response, and everything just tightens and snaps. Just reach with the heel. Come back. Reach with the heel, through the heel, open the foot, reach down into the leg, and come back. And reach. I notice my arms are moving and waking up. And reach again. And take a break. Oh, dear. So, just have a chuckle. I'm having a really big chuckle. Just have a chuckle about your yoga practice and take a break for a minute. Okay. So, where are my glasses? I just went and had a look at all of you. I mean, I can't see you, but I can see your names, and it's just so lovely. I know it's just lovely knowing you all. Hoping everyone's having fun. So, okay. So what we're going to do now, similar to everything we're doing lying, but I'm standing up, which changes everything always. That's why we have variations in lying, standing, sitting. So I'm standing up, and what I want to do is I want to let one arm go up, okay? One arm goes up, and one arm goes down. So when we do cow arms, normally what happens is we think, oh, I have to connect my hands, so I shorten. But that's where I started. I was lying on the floor, and I could feel that I was like this at my computer all day. So now I've started to open up more this way. You may be opening more that way. So when you go into cow arms, don't worry about having to connect. Don't even worry about touching. It's not even important. But just feel that you can let something go up and something go down. Down, this goes down. And then what happens is I bend at the elbow, but my elbow keeps going up. That's the important thing. So the humerus continues to go up, because the minute I lose that, I don't have any room anymore, and it's a big irritation across the neck. So my arm goes up, my huge fingers and all the tendrils, and then I bend at the elbow, but the humerus continues to go up that way. Okay? And my down arm goes down in order to come back, not up, down in order to come back. And they connect. Mine don't always connect right away. It's not always that easy. You can use something to help you, a sock or a belt. I go up and it bends, and then I come around and I connect. And it's a wonderful pose because there is this complex movement which is behind your upper thoracic. So it's really opening the rib cage from the front, behind. And then your hands become prehensile, and that's surprising. So that's what you're working on. You know, your hands are really touching and holding and squeezing something and awake. Okay, whether you're using something or not. Yeah, so that all moved very, very quickly. Okay, now my flying elbow is going to take me up and into a forward bend a little bit. I'm going to bend my knees, and so you can see I'm really resting over where I'm holding back there. And I just let that happen. So my up elbow is dropping and my down elbow is dropping. Very profound. And then a huge feet, lots of roots, lots of awakefulness. My flying elbow, my hanging elbow, and my whole spine starts to want to look at the sky, can rest my head against my upper arm. And you know, you may have run into the limit of your structure, which is fine. Never irritate the shoulder joint. Never, never. It's not helpful. And come undone. Go for a little walk. And then, yeah, then the other arm goes up and the other one is hanging. Yeah, and then over doesn't mean shortening. It really means that actually you're getting even longer. It's just that the radial bits of your arm have bended strangely behind you towards each other. Yeah, and then you connect and be awake, you know, be alive with your hands. If it's very easy and you can hold right up into your wrists, or it's impossible, it's all wonderful. All wonderful. Try to say, oh, how wonderful, I can't connect my hands. That's just wonderful. That's kind of miraculous that my hands don't connect. Yeah, so there we are. Not so easy on this side. There the hands connect. Yeah. Something going up, something going down, the feet becoming very awake. And then just play, go slowly, because this is quite a challenge on this side. Don't irritate the shoulder of the back arm. The arm that goes this shoulder here on my right side. Just breathe. Breath. Heavy tail, heavy head. Lots of length. Something released into the back bending part of this pose. Huge heels, lots of breath coursing through, sense of weight. And just go for a walk, just let things swing around a bit. So this class, like the last one, is quite flowy, but doesn't mean you have to practice like that always. You might want to be still. You might want to just be on the floor. So you know that you want to play with the range and the qualities of what you're doing. If you get into a ritual and it's always soft and slow, paying attention to the breath, it gets kind of deadly. It gets kind of deadly. Okay. So we're going to let the arms, these long living things, we're going to let the arms come towards you and embrace you.
like this. You can, depends on how that works for you. You can, yeah. And then we're going to let the arms, so you turn the thumbs towards your nose and you let your arms twine, okay? And it doesn't matter how far you go, but try to find a way to grab onto your thumb or the sleeve of your shirt or whatever, so that it's as closed here as possible. And then let your arms come close towards you, see? Like this, so that I'm kind of crumpled across my front. I'm kind of crumpled and soft. So I'm bringing all of this together. That's what osteopathy is all about. Bring everything together, and then the inner body with its own intelligence reorganizes all the fabric. So, oh, no, I was doing that one. So like that, and I'm just very close and very soft. And then slowly, I let the twined arms begin to go away and out and up. And up. Only to what works for you. And up and up. No, you're not tractioning, you're opening. And let your head move, big living feet up, and then come back and rest over again. Yeah, you can fiddle as things release. Huge feet, and then letting the arms open away and up. Play in a way that works for you. Keep opening, keep opening. Wonderful. So I did this one. So I'm going to do the other side. Yeah. Just moving around, just looking around, letting your feet, shifting weight, and then beginning to twine the arms, thumbs towards the nose, hooking the palms towards each other. Yeah, towards each other. And then turning the twined bit towards your face and just resting on all of that. You know, even if you're here, that's fine. Just don't struggle. Try to get in there, and then let the whole thing rest. Let the whole thing rest over itself. Deep, deep into the feet. To this pretzely messy thing. And then beginning to lift and open. Arms are going away from you and up and up. And it's opening. And it's opening. And then if you want to kind of open it, go step by step so you're not irritating the shoulders. But you can, that's it. And then you come back and really rest in there again. Quietly opening. Huge feet. Do it only the way you can do it. Opening, 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 opening. Yeah, discovering that your arms are meant to hang. No, they're not meant to be here. There are these incredible pendicular structures. Breath, the sense of enjoyment, the non-problem. Even if you can't do something, or that's what happens to me if I work with somebody, they take me on a journey and then my body goes, oh, wow, I don't really do it like that. So I try or I adapt. It doesn't need to be a problem, really, but much more about a discovering. Okay. So we're going to go back onto the floor and onto the side of the body. It doesn't matter which side, just I don't know how that works for you. I think I'll turn myself a little bit for the mic. Okay, so you're on the side. You're going to bend, this is the down arm, you're going to bend like we did, but the elbow keeps growing out. So you let that happen, and the armpit is releasing. If you need to put a cushion under your head, you know, all those things you should do. Yeah, like that. And then the other arm goes up, and you let it drop, like we said, and come up the back. So if you pull it up, you very quickly will get stuck, and it's just irritating. So you actually want to let this drop, and also you don't want to lock yourself into a back bend with your shoulder blade. You counterintuitively want the joint, the glenohumeral joint, where the humerus and that little home and lip of the scapula, you want all of that to be allowed to hang forward a bit. As the arm goes down, I let that hang forward, and then I let this, I don't pull it up, I let the hand go up. I let the hand go up while the elbow goes down. Yeah, and again, you can hold something if your hands don't connect. Yeah. Now, we're going to roll around on this a bit, which is extraordinary for the mudra, this closed shape that you've made, and for the bony pathways and the ligamentous attachments. It's just the arm that is above, this one that's flat and that's facing the sky. You want to just make sure that that shoulder is not irritated. But we can roll a little bit onto our backs. And we can roll back, and we can come more forward. And we can roll onto the side. And we can roll completely onto the back. Do not keep going though. Don't go just onto the back and then return the way you came. And the head can move around, so play. Play within the range that works for you. So I can feel that my shoulders are letting go hugely. The whole system for me of being slightly flexed on the front. It's all opening up. All opening up. And then we can let go gently on the shoulder that had the arm coming up your back. And just hang out for a bit. Yeah. Our deepest, oldest restrictions are in the thoracic cage. It comes from the oldest curve of the body. So it's wonderful, deep work. So we're lying on the other side.
and we're on the side of the body. And then this one starts to go up. And this one starts to go down and around the back. You see, so I don't pull the arm that's going up the back, I don't pull it back in order to reach, because you won't go far. I release it forward. It feels like that's the wrong direction, but that allows the shoulder blade to work, but it also allows the bones at the elbow. It allows the radius and ulna to do properly what they need to do at the where they come up to meet the humerus. Yep. So I can really let it forward. So I've come onto my front. It's a little premature, so I'm just going to hang out here. There, I have a better grasp with my fingers back there. And then I'm just going to roll around. Yeah. And so this is, you know, without bothering that shoulder, especially the one of the hand that goes behind, this is a very, 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 very deep movement because your hands are behind you, but because the one hand especially is under the curve of the chest, of the rib cage, it's making your body kind of open, but from inside. You're not doing a back bend with your muscles. You're doing it on something you're lying on, but that thing is connected to you. It's your arms and hands. It's very profound. Yeah, very beautiful. Very beautiful. And the movements, you don't need to make huge, interesting movements. It's just the movements are millions of little river pathways of shoulder releasing and moving. Yeah, it's so deep. It'll take the joint of the arm that was behind a moment to figure out where it was and what it was doing and what it's going to do. Wonderful. You may want to continue practicing, obviously. And so thank you again. And see you next week if you want to continue. Remember, there's a link to a lot of classes that we've been doing now. It's a year. And at some point, I'm going to go through them and group them and maybe take out some of the less good classes in terms of the equipment we had, but we've been journeying around all the kind of beginning vocabulary and the beginning grammar of making a yoga practice or a movement practice yours. And of course, there's very deep and rich stuff. But I think most of these classes stand alone and allow someone who is always beginning to keep beginning. You should know that this evening we have Archbishop Rowan Williams. I think was the 104th Archbishop of Canterbury, and a most remarkable meeting of mind and heart in this man, and he's going to be talking
with Lawrence Freeman about meditation. I encourage you to join, and you can get on through the speaker series. Of course, you have to pay to get on, but you'll see that the range of speakers is very, very rich. You can pay for one, and you can pay for the whole group. And next week we have our second installment of our of the journey we're making with Dr. Barry White, who's talking to us about health and contemplative health, and a contemplative approach to health, healing, and medicine, again in dialogue with Lawrence Freeman. If you know French speakers, francophones, someone who is a francophone and wants to learn meditation, we're starting a series in French, and you'll see that also on the program, and that's beginning next week. So don't forget, if you can make a tiny little contribution from time to time, it's very helpful. Doesn't need to be a big thing, just it's very easy to do. Click the button. Okay, so thank you. Enjoy your practice and the coming of spring. Coming of spring. Like at the end of the out breath, we know the in breath is coming. Bye-bye.